Okay, everyone, good morning to those of you on the left coast and good afternoon to the rest of the country. My name is Franklin. I'm the co-founder of the Northern California Spinal Cord Injury Foundation, also known as NorCal SCI. Welcome to today's session, which, as always, is being presented as part of a grant that we received from the Reef Foundation. So we're very, very grateful to them. Have a really interesting topic today. How are your eyes related to your movement? Improving movement through sensory input. That's a two-part program that we're going to be bringing to you this month as well as next month. Okay, a couple of housekeeping items as usual. I want to encourage as many of you as possible to open up your video feeds so both Rachel and Erin can sort of engage with you over their screen. It's not mandatory, but just want to encourage you to do that. Additionally, all of you have been muted. The sound has been muted so that we don't have any background distractions. If you have any questions, please use the chat feature on your screen to send me those questions. We anticipate the presentation will be about 45 minutes, and then we'll have about 10 minutes or so at the end for a Q&A session with Rachel and Erin. Otherwise, alternatively, you can also email them to me during the session. I'll be checking the email all throughout the hour. And the email address is info@norcalsci.org. The second thing is we are recording this presentation as we do with all of our presentations. And so if you need to step out at any time, no worries. We would definitely send you an email on Monday with a recording to this session for you to enjoy, okay? So you're not gonna miss out on anything. Okay, so let me get started by introducing Rachel and Erin again. Rachel is a nationally certified Pilates teacher, a certified strength and conditioning specialist, a movement teacher specializing in working with people with neurological deficits, especially spinal cord injuries. And she's also currently pursuing her license for massage therapy. Erin has a doctorate of physical therapy and is a board certified neurologic clinical specialist. She's currently a physical therapist at UC San Francisco and also co-founder of No Limits Collaborative and has worked extensively with the SCI population. So I'm very happy to have both Rachel and Erin with us. Ladies, take it away.
All righty. Hi, welcome everybody. Franklin, again, as always, thank you for hosting this series. I'm super excited about today's topic. This is something that I have been working with for about the past 5 years or so, and it profoundly affected me and my movement routine, and I've implemented it with all of my clients. I implement this work in my classes, and I've seen some big changes with people, so we're excited. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and just get my PowerPoint set up. Give me one sec. Alrighty. Great. Okay. Erin, you can see that okay? Yeah, great. Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, so we'll start with the eyes. So our eyes make up, kind of in terms of the brain mapping and what the brain does, a little over 50% of what our brain does goes towards our vision. It's dedicated towards our vision. So there's a few factors that go into how the eyes affect the body, how the eyes affect the movement. So we're going to start, this slide is talking about the first component of those. So let me just click through one more time here. Oops. Oh gosh, I'm sorry everybody, hang on one sec. Nope, nope, nope. Hang on. Okay, can we, you know what, hang on, I'm sorry. Let me exit out of this because this is, sorry, 1 minute here. All right. Wouldn't be a Zoom meeting without technical difficulties, right? Okay. Okay, there we go. Sorry, everybody. Okay. So when we're talking about the eyes, we've got on each eyeball itself, we've got 6 muscles on each eye. And the eyes do 2 main things, so 2 main movements that we're gonna briefly talk about now and then get to a little bit later with all of our movement. And that's gaze stabilization and gaze shifting. So really all that is gaze stabilization is where my eyes can lock onto something without my head moving, whether it's high, low, out to the side or not. Gaze shifting more has to do with eye tracking. Can I watch something move across my field of vision, come at me, move away from me, that type of a thing. So these are really important. These are kind of the 2 foundational movements that just your eyes are going to be doing. In today's world with computers and with screens, we've really lost the ability of our eyes to be moving all the way around us using those 6 muscles. So, you know, back when we were hunter-gatherers, when we were out in nature more, we were having to look at farther distances, farther than a foot in front of us when we've got a computer in front of us most of the day. Our eyes, we were getting more movement within our actual eyeballs. You know, when we were hunting and gathering, we had to be really still and quiet, and our eyes would look to the side maybe as we were tracking an animal or doing something like that. In today's world, we don't do that as much. So we've lost some things that have come with the benefits of having our eyes being able to move all around. It's really no different than any other part of our body. If we keep our eyes fixated in one point in our heads the whole day, just like if maybe I never do the movement of bringing my arms up overhead, or I never am rotating side to side, we're gonna lose that capacity. It's that whole term, use it or lose it. So that more has to do with the muscles of the eye. So today we're not really going to be talking about vision itself. We're going to be talking about some hierarchies of the visual system and how it works with the brain, and how the muscles around the eyes help out with that also. So where you can't see, your body isn't going to go. So if my eyes have a hard time, so like, let's just have maybe everybody try this right now. So just looking up without moving your head, look up at something on the ceiling, on the wall, as high as you can, so that it's not blurry, so that you don't just see 2 of it. Don't move your head. I see some of you where your heads are lifted. Keep your head steady. It's just your eyes that are looking up. It's probably slightly uncomfortable. Go ahead and relax, right? Okay, so let me click through this here. So when we can't look in a certain direction, when we choose not to look in a certain direction, we lose that certain movement in our body. And that's due to something called visual reflexes. So using our eye muscles actually causes reflexive muscular patterns in our body that affect our posture and our movement. And they can inhibit or they can facilitate that kind of movement. So over on the screen, you'll see, for example, when the eyes go up, and for most of you, you probably felt your chin started to tilt up. So it facilitates extension in the body, which is when we're lifting our chest kind of up towards the sky. And vice versa when we look down. So now I just want everybody, remember, keep your head really still. And I just want you to look down. Maybe it's something on the floor, but something really, really far down there on the floor. And again, some of you might notice your head starts to come with you. So go ahead and take a break there. So that's going to facilitate flexion. Looking down facilitates flexion. Likewise, just the eyes looking to the right. So I'll have everyone do this now. So go ahead and look to the right, locking your eyes on something. Yeah. Typically, I would have you holding this for about 30 seconds or so. And as simple as it sounds, it actually is quite challenging for a lot of people. It feels strenuous for our eyes because our eye muscles are never having to move our eyes in those directions. So likewise, when we look to the right, that can facilitate rotation of our body to the right. And when our eyes just go to the left, so everybody go ahead and just move your eyes and look at something as far to the left as you can, and just hold that. That's going to facilitate spinal rotation to the left. And you might notice as you're looking in those 4 directions, maybe it's easier or harder for you to look in one direction versus the other. Maybe down was easy and up was hard. Maybe right was easy and left was hard. So just kind of taking note of that. Okay. So in kind of going in with that theme, so we've got the muscles of the eyes that move the eyes around. We also have, and we've talked about this in actually both of the prior sessions just briefly, with how sensory input comes into our body. So the brain has really, well, let's start with this. The main job of the brain, first, above anything else, is to keep you alive and to keep you safe, alive and safe. So that photo on the right, you'll see the highlighted, so the limbic and the mammalian, or sorry, the lizard and the mammalian brain, that's what we call our older brain. So those are the parts of our brain that deal with all of the autonomic systems going in our body, our heart rate, our breathing, that kind of stuff. Well, breathing's part voluntary, but all of the organ systems. Our neocortex, which is known as our human brain, which is that far right photo, has to do more with language and decision making and thought process and memory. So that developed later. So when we are receiving sensory input into our body, it goes through that lower part of the brain, our older brain first. And the brain decides, am I going to survive? Am I safe? Okay, I'll send that information up to the neocortex, up to the newer human brain. So that newer brain takes that information, it makes a decision, and then it creates a motor output. So kind of going back to the image you see on the left there. So sensory input coming into our body can be sensory input from our environment. So something we see in front of us, something we might maybe want to pick up. It can also be coming from internally. So that's something called interoception. How are we feeling on the inside of our body? Our brain takes that information. So this is what the brain is doing. It takes that sensory input, it integrates it, it makes a decision, and then it creates a motor output. So why that's important is most of exercise-based modalities and movement-based modalities are really focusing on the movement output side of that photo that you see there. They're trying to increase your proprioception, they're trying to make your muscles stronger. There's nothing wrong with that, that's all really good. But remember, vision is 50% of your brain is dedicated to vision. And the next slide is going to explain this a little bit more. But if we can improve the sensory input coming into your brain and the quality of that sensory input coming into your brain by working more on the sensory input side of that loop, then we can automatically create a more efficient motor output. So think of this: if you're about to go somewhere, you're getting into your car and you type into your GPS the address. If that GPS system is kind of vague, the map is blurry, the directions aren't very clear, you might get to your destination eventually. You might be 20 minutes late, you're going to get lost, you're going to take a couple wrong turns. The body works the same way. So if we can map out that sensory input coming in and make it more clear, we're going to get to our destination faster. The movement output is going to be more efficient. So working with the visual system, we're working on the muscles of the eyeball, but we're also working on increasing the quality of that sensory input coming into the body. Okay. And then another big piece of that, again, how I said vision is dedicated, 50% of the brain is dedicated to vision. So the brain works with that sensory information coming in. The brain is working in a hierarchy type of system, which is what this pyramid is showing you. So not all sensory input coming in is treated equally, basically. The information coming in from your visual system always takes that number one position. That's what your brain is going to listen to first and foremost. After that comes your vestibular system, which is actually the topic of our next workshop that we're teaching in November. Don't quote me on that. It's our next workshop. So the vestibular system is this inner unit inside our ear that helps with balance and helping us see where we are in time and space. And then the very last bottom rung is proprioception, again, which is what most exercise-based models are working on. They're working on strengthening the muscles and flexibility and getting the body movement. Again, not a bad thing, but what if we focus more on the visual and vestibular system to increase the quality of that sensory input coming into your system so that your proprioception, your movement could improve, could become more efficient, could become more pain-free, fill in the blank there. So that's kind of the hierarchy behind this. Yes, and then I think, yeah, Erin, if you want to go for it.
There we go. So just to reiterate a little bit of what Rachel was saying, this is a constant feed-forward feedback loop. Do you mind advancing the slides for me, Rachel? Just like, I worked really hard on this animation, guys, so I really want it to come through. So you have the visual input coming in, and then you also have the proprioceptive sensory input coming from your peripheral nervous system, so just coming through the rest of your body. Then you have information coming in from your vestibular portion, which is your inner ear, and then your brain integrates all of that information. So Rachel kind of works more outpatient, more clinic-based. My role as an inpatient neurotherapist is when something's acutely wrong with one of these systems, and that whether that be the information that's coming in or if something's happening as the information is trying to exit into how your body's using that information to create a movement pattern or establish balance. So when all these systems are working, great. You're firing on all cylinders, balance is good, movement efficiency is good. If any one of these systems is disrupted, that causes your body to rely more heavily on the other systems, which is why we're kind of teasing these out in these upcoming sessions so we can really maximize the efficiency of how you guys are moving. And then before we get into any of these eye movements, these should not be causing any dizziness, any blurriness. If that is happening, let us know. Don't do the movement. But these are all not meant to trigger anything. And we'll kind of get more into this in the vestibular section, but if you're getting, dizziness, some spinning, you're feeling a little like, ooh, afterwards, just dial it back a little bit, do it a little less intensely, and then we can kind of figure out where to move from there. Thanks, Rachel.
Rachel, you've been muted. We can't hear you.
Okay. Okay, so you just saw this dog pop up and you didn't even hear my joke. I realized that I had dog photos in all of my other presentations, so we're just going to keep the theme going. And fall started this past week, so happy fall, everybody. Alrighty, so we're going to jump into some of the more movement-based stuff here. So before I'll take you outside of the presentation, I'm just going to remind you of a few of these, how we're going to use our check and recheck assessment tool. So we're going to start with a body scan. That's going to incorporate kind of the past couple of sessions that we've done. There's going to be some just mindfulness meditation, some self-release techniques in the upper part of the body. do what you can. If you need a caretaker or something to assist with any part of that, that might be helpful to have going into this section. Also to have going into the section, you're gonna need a pen or a pencil of some sort. If a pencil is slightly challenging to hold, something a little bit bigger, like a cooking utensil, might be easier. And if you don't have anything, you could also just use your thumb moving around you. Yeah, that's all you're gonna need for this one. So we'll do the body scan, and then I just wanna briefly talk about our assessment tool. So really with any kind of movement or new tools that you're bringing into your movement routines, your exercise, your daily habits, it's always a good idea, and this really goes for anything, but it's always a good idea to have some kind of a pre-assessment and post-assessment to see if the new thing that we're bringing in actually helped. So we're going to be doing these check-ins. We're going to be doing about 4 or 5 visual drills. But before we even do those visual drills, we're going to do a whole set of movements, which you see listed on the screen. And as we're going through these movements, you're just really saying in your body, how is this feeling? Is it easier doing this on my left side versus right side? Am I experiencing a little bit of pain in one of my shoulders when I do this movement? Do I feel sticky? Do I feel like it's hard to breathe when I do this certain movement? So you're just noticing breath, ease of movement, speed of movement, your efficiency, if there's any discomfort or pain, anything like that with this list of movements here. And then we're going to be doing check-ins. So after each visual drill, I'm going to have you give me a thumbs up if the drill improved your movement, a sideways thumb if it stayed the same, and a downwards thumb if it got worse. Yes, and then just again to reiterate what Erin said, if any of these movements make you dizzy or nauseous or even sleepy, I usually get sleepy after doing these drills, that's not a bad thing. It just means that you've met your limit. So back off, take a break, grab some water. You can close your eyes if that helps. So just kind of be moving at your own pace and stay with your body for these ones. And I think that's it. So let's go ahead. After we do our body scan, our movement check-in, we'll just come back to the PowerPoint for a couple more slides. But I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing so you can really see me here. Okay. Alrighty. So let's just start with a bit of a body scan here. All right, so I'm gonna have you come to either a seated or a standing position, whether you're a seated or a standing athlete. Make sure that your feet are either grounded on the floor directly or on the base of your chair. And I just want you to come to a nice upright seated position. And I'm gonna have you close your eyes if that feels comfortable. And we're just gonna start with checking in with your breath here. In fact, I'll have you put both hands over your low belly. And just start to notice where your breath is moving in your body. Is it staying shallow in your neck or your chest? Or are you able to invite that breath a little bit deeper so that your belly expands with your inhale and then drifts back in with your exhale? Belly expands with your inhale and drifts back in with your exhale. And I just want you to stay with that. Just noticing the breath. Remember, we're not judging anything about the breath. We're just checking it out. I'm going to invite you to breathe just through your nose right now, if that's accessible to you. So mouth is closed, so we're just nasal breathing. And I'm going to have you start a body scan. Let's move from the head to the toes. And as you start to scan downwards, I want you to notice what in your body feels good to you today. What feels easeful, what feels loose, and you can kind of wiggle your neck or your shoulders or your legs around if you're able to. What feels sticky in your body today? And then what parts of your body are quiet? What parts aren't speaking to you quite as much? I want you to set an intention for the rest of class. So that could be as general or as specific of an intention or a goal as you'd like. And on your next exhale, we'll open the eyes. Okay. We're going to do just a couple of self-release techniques to help calm the nervous system down and to kind of prep the body here. So I'm going to have you take either hands or knuckles, whatever you've got access to, and you're going to give your head the best head scratch that you've ever had. So I want you to cover every inch of your head all the way up and over, maybe along your hairline. If you've got a sensitive spot, you can spend an extra little bit of time in there. And then go ahead and relax and just sit with that for a second. And notice if anything changed for you. I've got a nice buzz over the top of my head. Okay. And then I'm gonna have you grab your ears. And if grabbing your ears is kind of hard, we can just cup the ears. And you're very gently gonna move your ears in little circles. This is gentle. Don't pull too hard here. We've got a lot of fascia, membranes, bones, everything attached to this area. So just gentle circles. So this self-release work that we do, and then I'm gonna have you switch directions, that we do kind of in our upper body has to do with stimulating quite a handful of our cranial nerves. Again, that kind of goes in keeping with the more information and sensory input we bring in, the more efficient our movement can be. Okay, and again, go ahead and release. Just notice if there's any difference for you there. Okay, now if you bring hands to the back of the neck or knuckles to the back of the neck, and you're just gonna give your neck a rub, just a gentle rub from the back to the front, kind of down to the base of your collarbones. So look down, grab the back of your neck. As you traction your hands down towards the collarbone, look up with your neck, with your head and your neck. That's it. A couple more times. Grab the back of the neck, look down. As you traction the hands down, look up. And then hold right there, slide your lower jaw forward. Should be feeling a nice stretch to the front of the neck. Let's just do that one more time. Hands to the back of the neck. As you traction down, the head goes up and slide the lower jaw forward. Okay, and relax. Good. So again, just noticing, did anything change for you there? Okay, so we're hopefully feeling a little bit more settled in than we did a few minutes ago. So we're gonna do that as that first assessment tool here. So let's start with a few shoulder shrugs. Okay, so I just want you to shrug the shoulders up and down, up and down. And you're just noticing, okay, how easeful does this feel? Is it crunchy? Is it tight? Does it feel good? How does my breath feel as I do this one? Just taking note. Okay, so just a few shoulder shrugs and go and relax. Okay, we'll bring our arms up into an overhead arm raise if you're able to do this. Otherwise, you can just stay with the shoulder shrugs. And I just want you to do that maybe 5 or 6 times. And right now I'm noticing, okay, my left is getting further back than my right. This doesn't feel super great for me today. Yeah. And you're just noticing speed, everything that's going on with that movement there. I'm gonna have you bring your arms now to the front of your body, palms are touching. If this is hard for you to do with your shoulders, you can also just cross your arms over your chest. And you're gonna turn and rotate. I'll mirror you, so we're gonna turn and rotate to the left. And then turn and rotate to the right. So your hips are staying facing forward. We're just getting this rotation from our spine. And I just want you to do that a couple times back and forth. Okay. And you're just noticing, how far am I getting? How easy or hard is this for me? Can I breathe when I'm in a fully rotated position? Okay. Let's maybe bring it back to the neck. Again, be aware if any of you have fusions or hardware through your cervical vertebra or your thoracic vertebra, avoid rotation when we're doing it in those directions. Okay, so just kind of a disclaimer there. Okay, so coming from the head, so you're gonna turn your head and rotate to the left. How far can that neck rotate? And turn and rotate to the right. And just go back and forth a couple times. How is that feeling? Okay, good. Let's do a couple head tilts, tilting the head to the left and to the right. Does one side feel stickier for you? Is this causing any pain? Okay. Let's see, what am I missing? We can do some shoulder internal and external rotation. So making a goalpost arms and pivoting around the goalpost. You can see if one side gets further than the other. And if this is too hard, you can also just do that with your arms outstretched in front of you, rotating the hands and the shoulders up and down. Okay, so you don't have to do all of these check and recheck tools. You can pick one or two. I usually like the overhead arm raise. That's my personal favorite. And you can stay with that tool as we progress now through these visual exercises. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. Oh, let's see. Make sure I'm doing the right one. Whoa, I don't know what just happened there. Sorry, everybody. Hang on one sec. Okay, let's see. Okay, so we're going to come into some of the visual and vestibular drills now. So those are we'll probably get through most of those. So this photo on the right is a photo of where actually I study most of this visual work. If any of you are interested, it's through Dr. Eric Cobb at Z Health, and he's giving you an example of the pencil push-ups that we're going to do in just a few minutes. Okay, so we're going to start with some eye range of motion stuff. We're going to do some pencil push-ups. We're going to do, which is working on something called eye convergence. I'll give you an example of something that's called letter ball. We may or may not get to it. And then Cicades, which is when your eyes are jumping from one side to the next. Okay, so I just wanted you to see that. You've got that resource there if you want to check out more of that work. So we're going to start with eye range of motion, and I'm actually going to go ahead and stop sharing again and take you through some of these movements. Okay, so when we do these movements, there's something called a startle reflex, and a startle reflex can look like, let me backtrack. When we're doing these movements, your eyes might experience fatigue, and that fatigue can show up in a handful of different ways, which is what we call a startle. That can be your eyes blinking a lot. It can be your head kind of shaking, like, whoa, let me shake that off. Your eyes can get a little watery. My eyes usually get kind of itchy. You can also get kind of sleepy with this, like your eyes are really working for you. So when you experience maybe any of those, that means that you've probably done enough repetitions. Go ahead and take a break. Your eyes need a break when we're doing this kind of stuff, just like any of the muscles in the body need a break as they fatigue. So I'm going to have you grab your pencil, and we're just going to start. So we did a bit of gaze stabilization, but we're just going to go through a little bit of that again. So holding the pencil out directly in front of you, and I want you to look at the very tip of that pencil. The more precise the point is that we're looking at, the harder the eye is going to have to work. Okay, you're going to lift that pencil. Well, let me back up a little bit. Oh, you're going to lift that pencil so it's, remember, your head isn't moving for any of these exercises. So you're lifting that pencil so that pencil is as high as it can go where I can still see it clearly. Okay, side note, for those of you that have a hard time lifting your arm up like this, you're not going to use a pencil. You're just going to use your eyes to pinpoint. I'm looking at my windowsill right now to pinpoint as high as I can. You don't have to use a pencil. It just gives you something to really look at. Okay, so you've got a couple of options if holding things is challenging. So you're going to keep your eyes there. I just want you to keep your eyes there as I talk you through this. And you're noticing, are my eyes jumping away? Am I having a hard time just focusing on this tip for 30 seconds? We're not going to do a full 30 seconds, but you get the idea. Is this movement for your eyes challenging? Are you getting frustrated? Are your eyes fatiguing? Yep. For most of you, make sure your head isn't moving. So bring your head back to a steady position. Yeah. It's okay. This is hard at first. The head wants to go where the eyes are going. Okay, go ahead and relax. Let's bring that pencil up and to the left now. Same thing, gaze stabilization, up and to the left. And I want you to challenge that. So as long as that pencil is clear and you're seeing only one pencil, how high up and to the left can you go? Yeah, I'm just gonna watch people here. That looks really good. And relax. Up and to the right. Do a check-in with your head. I like to bring my hand to my chin to make sure I'm not cheating. Keeping your eyes on the tip of that pencil. Yep, and then relax. Okay. So you can do that gaze stabilization. When we started class, we did up, down, side to side. I just had you do the upper two corners. You can also do the lower two corners. But just an example of how you could play with that. Typically, I'd have you holding it for 30 seconds, challenging your eyes' range of motion to get a little bit higher. As I've been doing this work, my eye range of motion has significantly improved. So you're kind of tracking that over time. So now we're going to do gaze shifting, okay? So holding that pencil, and again, if holding a pencil is hard, you're just going to use objects in the room. But you're going to hold that pencil and you're going to draw, I'm going to back up a little bit more. You're going to draw as big of a circle around you with that pencil without moving your head. Just your eyes are staying on that pencil. Move slowly here. I want you to do 4 circles in one direction, 4 circles in the other direction. Don't let your head move. And make that movement with your eyes as smooth as you can. So if you feel like your eyes are jumping, that's a really good thing to note. That's part of that is called a smooth pursuit. We want our eyes to be able to track smoothly for us moving through the world and the world moving around us. Yeah, I see a couple startles, which is good. So when you've done those 4 circles in each direction, you can go ahead and take a break. Yeah, I'm just wanting to make sure I'm not moving too fast. Okay, and now we're gonna do our recheck. Our recheck here. So I want you to pick 1 or 2 of these. I'm going to move through these. Do whatever movement speaks to you most. So maybe we'll start, actually, sorry, let's start with some shoulder shrugs coming up and down. Has that changed for you at all? Is it more easeful? Is it the same? Did it get worse? Does it feel less sticky? Just running through that checklist in your head. Yep, let's move our head from left to the right. That one got better for me. Let's tilt our head from side to side. Ooh, there we go. Yeah, just noticing if there's a difference there for you. You can do the overhead arm raise. Does that feel any different? You can do the thoracic rotation, so hands together out in front of you, rotating side to side. And does that feel any different for you? You've also got that shoulder internal and external rotation too. I didn't mention this the first time, but for my standing athletes, you could be doing squats, you could be doing a single leg balance check-in, you could be doing push-ups. So you've got a variety of options there. Okay, so I'm curious now, and for those of you who are on camera, can I maybe get a thumbs up if it helped your movement, a sideways thumb, or maybe like a this if it didn't help, or a downwards thumb, and maybe you look down if it didn't help your movement. And I know I only have a couple of people on. Okay. All right, I'm getting some sideways thumbs, and a few upwards thumbs, so that's good. Yeah. Okay, great. So let's move on to pencil push-ups. So you will need a pencil for this one or your thumb. Okay, either one, but either way, I want you looking at the very tip of that pencil or a precise point on your thumb. I want the tip of the pencil to line up right between your two eyes. You're holding it at arm's distance. This is working on something called eye convergence, which is the ability of your eyes to focus in on something together without one eye going off and having a party. It's what we call the lazy eye sometimes. So it's the ability for your eyes to focus on something coming at you or moving around you at a close distance to your face. It's really important for hand-eye coordination in general, eye tracking, all of that. Okay, we're holding that pencil out in front of us. We're slowly gonna bring it into our face. The second that I start to see two pencils, I'm gonna pull it away from my face. So the goal is to see one pencil the whole time as you pull it in towards your face, all the way up to your nose, and away from your face. So it's okay if that pencil is blurry. In fact, it should go blurry as it gets closer to your eyes. That more has to do with the lens. But we just want to be seeing one pencil. So if you notice all of a sudden you start to see two pencils, what's happening there is your eyes are having a hard time working together. And one is going off and it's creating two images. The eye is seeing two images, the brain is seeing two images. So once that happens, you're gonna pull that pencil away from you, okay? I want you to do maybe 10 pencil push-ups total, bringing it in towards you and away from you. If you have glasses, you can take the glasses off. You don't have to. Remember, contacts and glasses are kind of a crutch. So if we can do these exercises while still seeing the object in front of us, that depends on your vision, then I encourage you to do them without your glasses. Obviously, I'm not going to take my contacts out, but you get the point. Okay, go ahead and take a break there. Let's just do a couple movements one more time. Maybe raising the arms over the head, so that overhead arm raise. Maybe you're doing shoulder shrugs. Maybe you're doing cervical rotation, moving your head from left to right, or thoracic rotation, moving your body left to right. Shoulder internal, external rotation, whatever one speaks to you the most. And can I maybe get a thumb reading again for that one? Thumb, okay, awesome. Thumbs up if it helps. Side thumb, nice, Claudia. Yeah, good, nice, Maria, that's awesome. Good. Okay, so I'm gonna have you take, and I kind of lied. If you have another pencil, I want you to grab another pencil. Sorry, you need 2 pencils for this one. So these are called Cicades. We're just gonna do 1 or 2 more of these. So this more has to do with the ability of your eyes to jump side to side. Again, your head is gonna stay steady in this one. It's just your eyes moving. So I'm holding the pencils out to my side, to my left and my right, and I'm quickly jumping back and forth from the left to the right pencil with just my eyes focusing on the tip of that pencil as quick as I can. So I'm gonna come up to the screen in case you can't see. Yeah, and if you can't hold pencils, just pick 2 objects in the room. And I wanna encourage you to bring those pencils as far away from each other as you can, to the point where your head doesn't need to turn, but you're challenging that eye range of motion. So keep going as I'm talking you through this, going left to right, left to right. I'm just gonna watch people here. Make sure the head doesn't move, head stays really steady. And how quickly can you go back and forth? Okay. Just for time purposes, I'm gonna change that. I would normally have you keep going. I'm now gonna have you do it up and down. So one pencil high, one pencil low. Same idea. Don't move that head. Just the eyes jump up and down as quickly as you can, making sure that you're focusing on that precise pencil tip before jumping to the next one. So no cheating. Make sure you really focus on one before you jump to the other. Yeah, that looks really good. Nice, Rafi, that looks good. Okay, and go ahead and relax. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna do one more check-in at the very end. The last thing I had on that slide was something called letter ball. So I'm gonna show you an example of a letter ball I have. We're not necessarily gonna do this today, but I'm holding a tennis ball right now. Let me zoom in. And it's got letters and numbers all over the tennis ball. They're about an inch big, they're Sharpied in. And how I would play this, you can also use this with a pencil, but it's nice to do it with a ball because it varies what you're looking at instead of just a pencil. So I'm going to show you with the letter ball, but if you've got a pencil, I want you doing it with the pencil. You're going to hold that into your chest. You're going to move the ball away from you. You're quickly going to look at it at that precise tip of the pencil or the ball, and then you bring it back into your chest. You bring it out to another area, quickly look at it. This time I want your head and your eyes to turn to look at it, and then bring it back in. So this kind of more has to do with eye tracking, but in a quicker way. Bring that ball to a different position around you, quickly look at it, pull it back in. Bring it to a different position, quickly look, bring it back in, okay? So this one is more about speed, and if you're not holding a pencil, you can just pick a point on the ceiling or around you, maybe a picture frame next to you, where you're just having to move your head and your eyes a little bit quicker. Yeah, good. Okay, so go ahead and relax. Yeah, I still see a couple people doing that. So let's do our final reassessment here. So you can find an overhead arm raise again. Whoa, that one was better. You can find a shoulder shrug. You can do your neck or your thoracic rotation. And the amount of time that we spent on each drill might not have been enough to create change in your movement. But I want you to play with this. So, you know, maybe we did 10 pencil push-ups. Maybe we only had time to do 5 today, but maybe at home you can do 15 to 20, okay? So playing with how much you're doing to see how that affects your movement. Always doing that assess, reassess tool to see, did the gaze stabilization really work well for me? And did the letter ball maybe not work as well for me? Okay, so we use that assessment tool to make sure that what we're doing is having a change with our movement within our bodies. Yeah, so that's it. So you can play with those at home. I'd love to we've got about 6 minutes left. So Franklin, if you want to jump in, we can take any questions, and I can put my, maybe afterwards I'll put the contact screen up if anyone has email or anything or questions like that.
Yeah. All right. First question. I did not hear you address how these steps may help with pain reduction. What particular movement should I be focusing on that could potentially help with that?
Yes, that's such a good question because I meant to talk about this. So one of the big things in how this work helps with pain reduction is it decreases when our body, when a certain movement or a certain part of our body is in pain, we're perceiving threat in some way, shape, or form. If we can decrease the body's sensory, the body's sense of perceiving threat with certain movements, we can help decrease that pain. So these movements can help with pain reduction because we are we're bringing more of that. So it kind of goes to that feedback loop we talked about in the beginning, where we're bringing more sensory input into our body that is not, it's safe and it's non-threatening, and it's helping to rewire some of the circuits of pain in whatever way or shape or that might be showing up for you. So when we're working on that sensory input, that is the visual system, we're helping to decrease that threat sense that's coming into our body, which again will create a pain-free, maybe not necessarily a more efficient movement, but a pain-free movement. And that has to do, I can kind of go into more of the anatomy side of that, but that's just the quick and dirty, and Erin, feel free to jump in, but that's the quick and dirty of how this work can decrease your pain. That's a really great question. Yeah.
Rachel, we had Rafi and I recognize a handful of other high-level injuries. What are some of the more practical sort of movements that they could be doing either on their own or with minimal assist?
Yeah, so that's where I would stay with the shoulder movements, the shoulder shrugs or shoulder circles. If there is head movement, if you're able to get flexion and extension of the neck, so that's looking up and looking down. So sorry, wait, let me just clarify. The movements I'm talking about we're using for check and recheck assessment tool. Okay, so you can be moving your head up and down, you can be moving your head left to right or side to side. So you're just going to stay with any movement that you have in kind of this upper part, and you're going to use those shoulder circles, those shoulder shrugs, those shoulders going forward and back, and those head movements. And then you're going to be doing the eye movements, and then you're going to be doing that whole series again to see if anything became more easeful or fluid for you.
All right, and last question. I noticed that when you had us do the rubbing from behind the neck coming all the way down to our chest, I got a little sort of high around the neck area. Are there any sort of nerve endings around the neck that sort of stimulate that feeling?
Do you mean high, like?
I think that's they're talking about the stimulation that they got from just the rub down that they got from the back of the neck all the way down to the. I remember, yeah, I remember what they're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so you're referring to this one. So yes, the short answer is you have a lot of nerves that come down here. You have your, yes, the short answer is yes. You might have, so I don't know, depending on kind of what high means, if you meant high in a good way, like, ooh, I felt like there was some kind of a release, I got something moving a little bit more, then that's great. If it was high in a not good way, you might have just been pressing a little bit too hard, okay? So this is just meant to be just a rub from the back to the front. I'm not pressing very hard in my neck. It's more of a fascial thing as opposed to an intense pushing into the neck. So yeah, depending on if high was used in a good way or a bad way.
No, the person just added in an amazing way. So
Okay, then that's good. That's good. There's actually something on my neck called Erb's Point, which is under the SCM, and it's where we have, it's the coming together of maybe three, or splitting of three different nerves. Don't quote me on that. But doing this is actually specifically for that area, Erb's Point, which can help release that area, which is kind of right around here. So that high might have just been like those nerves were stuck under some sticky tissue, and you doing that was just enough to bring some fluid and some release into that area.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the end of the question. So can you give us a hint of what will be in October, coming up in October?
Yes, yeah. So October, so this was focused on the visual system. October is going to be focused more on the vestibular system. Remember, that's that inner unit you have in your ears that helps with balance, proprioception, and those are the main things. And problems with the vestibular system that we sometimes see are dizziness, vertigo, motion sickness, kind of anything in that realm. So again, this isn't just to treat those problems, just like with the visual work, we're not necessarily trying to treat problems. We're trying to increase that sensory input coming in to create better movement, more easeful, more pain-free movement. So yeah, this next workshop is just going to be focused on the vestibular system. So today, you notice we kept the head still and we moved the eyes. The next workshop, we're going to be moving the head around, keeping the eyes still and moving the eyes. So yeah, working more in that system.
All right. I felt like my eyes got a range of motion
Yeah,
in a good way.
yeah. And actually, and
Oh,
I will say, so everything that I taught you today, I spend 5 minutes every single morning doing eye exercises, basically exactly what I taught you today. It makes me feel sharper. It helps with my rotation and my extension. It helps with my focus. I sometimes even find it helps with reading. They've actually done studies that have shown that doing these eye exercises can improve reading speed because of that eye convergence I was talking about earlier. So these are just really easy ways that you can do in the beginning of the day that you can incorporate into your movement, which is something we'll be doing in the later sessions. It just feels like, when you get up and you kind of maybe stretch in the morning or you get all of the cracks out of your body, this kind of visual work is that on the eyes. It feels like the eyes are stretched, they've been moved, because they often move, or it's not often where they're able to move in all of those directions because we don't ask them to do that. And then
right.
maybe just one more disclaimer note for those of you that feel tired or exhausted or you want to go take a nap, don't worry, that's totally normal. It's just because you've done something different with the eyes, the visual system, and the brain. Remember, this is not just an eyes thing, it's a whole nervous system thing. So yeah, if you're feeling any of those things, go easy on yourself.
Yeah. I think that the timing of this was really good because you mentioned this earlier. The last several months, 6 months, we've been sort of so glued in front of our laptops, tablets, TV, that we just sort of focus on one screen. We don't kind of allow our eyes to venture out. And so this sort of, it did feel like a range of motion from my eyes because I'm in front of my computer 12 hours a day.
Yeah. Yeah, this is good. This is
Yeah.
good, Ben. Yeah.
Anyhow. All right. Great job. Thank you, Rachel and Aaron. Okay, everyone. So again, remember, we'll send you a recording of this session on Monday to all of you and anyone that did not attend. And thanks to Rachel and Aaron again. And also thanks to our friends at the Re Foundation who made this possible. So have a great rest of the weekend, everyone. We'll see you at the next presentation. Okay. All right.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Bye,
Thanks,
Rachel. Bye,
everyone.
Aaron. Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming.